Hi, you're listening to the Content Sells podcast, the show all about how to create content that attracts, converts, and keeps your ideal client. I'm Suzi Dafnis. Here with me is my co-host, Michelle Falzon. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Are there?
Hey, Suzi, I am great. Our first ever live show. Woot, woot, woot.
Woot, woot.
And 200 episodes. Wow. I was thinking about it. We've been doing this show for 7 years. And it seems almost unbelievable to me that it's been that long. In some ways, it kind of feels like just yesterday we got started.
It does. 7 years has gone very quickly. It's been such fun doing this show with you. 200 shows means at least 200 hours, plus the prep hours, plus all the post-production stuff that happens. But couldn't wish for a better person to do it with. So thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Absolutely. It's been a thrill. And you were just saying actually before the show, because this is my 200th podcast ever, but how many episodes is this for you, Miss Suzi Dafnis, in podcasts in general?
It's 507. So we've had 3 shows. One is now retired, the Social Media for Small Business podcast, the Her Business podcast, which continues to be wonderful, and this podcast. So 500 and something. That was a real whoa, that's a lot of talking.
That's a lot of contribution as well.
Yeah. So I'm just so grateful for every single person who's ever, whether you've tuned into one episode of this show or any of our shows, or you're a long-time listener, we're so grateful. And it's exciting to be broadcasting live for this 200th episode. So when we were talking about, well, how do we celebrate and really mark this 200 episode milestone, we thought it would be fun to go live to bring on some of our long-time listeners, cherished listeners who are fans of the show, and to do a little bit of celebrating and reminiscing, but also to share some of the highlights of different episodes. Because like I said, this is episode 200. So there's 200 mini marketing trainings inside of this podcast. And we're going to highlight a few that might be really relevant for you right now. Each one of them with great takeaways that you can use in your business. So that's what we're doing today.
Yes, that is the plan. I'm so excited just to try something new. After 200 episodes, to be doing something new is always exciting. Now, for those of you who are with us here live on the show, which is the most exciting part of this for us, because we're usually operating kind of in a vacuum. It's Suzi and I, but to have others with us today is really just fills my heart. I know it does for you too, Suzi, and it's exciting to see you here. We will be asking you to participate throughout the show. Drop comments into the chat thread. Answer the questions when we throw them out, because we do really love it when you play along and interact, and we will be giving you shout outs on the show. And for anyone that's listening to the recording, just to give you a little bit of context of what the heck is happening, we're broadcasting live using a great tool called StreamYard, which we've talked about on the show before. And if you haven't checked it out before, you might want to look at it. It allows us to show multiple views on screen. So you might be hearing us talking about things that are on the screen. We'll try and interpret that for you so the audio makes sense as well. Be that Suzi and I side by side like we are now. Or we might have extra guests on, and there can be multiple people at once, or sharing screens or sharing slides. You can put captions up that people have posted in the chat thread. It's a really fabulous tool. And so we're looking forward to using a variety of those features today.
And I'm using those features right now. We've got a bunch of people who are watching here live, who are sending congratulatory notes. If I go slower, I can do it, including Rosalie and Jay and Amanda and Chris, and Chris, who's joining us from the US, and Jeffrey King. Hello, Jeffrey King. Thank you so much. And Amanda says, I love the Christmas colors you're wearing. Yes, it was totally unintentional. Michelle and I have done this a couple of times. We'll show up, and it's not always this time of year, but we'll show up as Christmas, red and reddish and green. Great. And Debbie says, congratulations, ladies. Huge achievement and fantastic information. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, keep the comments coming. We're going to have some special guests on. They're going to be sharing things about themselves. So we want to be supporting them as well. It can take courage to show up and share of yourself. So thank you so much. And we want to hear from you. So we're going to put a link to the video that we're recording, because we're broadcasting live, in the show notes page of this episode. So if you are listening to the show a little later, I'm going to give you an address where you can go and you can actually watch the episode. So if you're listening on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, just know that in the show notes you can see the full experience and get to know a little more about us and, of course, our guests. And you might also just want to check this tool out. As Michelle said, it's got great functionality. We use it quite a lot. And the thing right now, we are broadcasting to our Facebook page, to our private group, which is for our Her Business Network members, to our free group, to LinkedIn, to YouTube. So it's a great tool for getting your information out. And this show is all about content marketing, and it's one of the tools that we have up our sleeve. So the other thing, we're doing something fun today. A little later, I'm going to tell you how you can win this awesome pair of AirPods Pro 2nd generation, valued at $399. So more about that a little later on. Now, Michelle, I am so excited to have some of our listeners here with us live.
Me too. I really, really am. And in fact, I'm getting more excited the more I see the comments and the interaction. I'm truly just loving this whole experience already. And we've only just started. And we usually are recording every episode, of course, with our listeners in mind. They're kind of with us, kind of in spirit, but it's so nice to have them with us in virtual reality right now as well. And Suzi, I thought you were going to say all the places that we're broadcasting, YouTube and LinkedIn and here. And I don't know why I just got this idea. And space.
We could be. I don't know. I'll leave that to the team. It's like, put this everywhere. Very, very good. All right. So we've given you an idea of what's coming up. We've got some people we're going to have on the show. We're going to be sharing some of our top tips and our favorite episodes as well. And we're going to be asking you as we go along as well. For now, let's invite our very first guest onto the show. Our first guest is, I just adore this person. She's growing and scaling an amazing business, helping copywriters grow profitable copywriting businesses and businesses they actually love to work in. She's a longtime member of the Her Business Network and one of my favorite humans. Please welcome to our live 200th episode, the wonderful Belinda Weaver of Copyright Matters. Hello.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much and congratulations. What an achievement.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As a fellow podcaster, I appreciate your acknowledgement and you know what it takes, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And, one of the things I've been talking to other people about this podcast as I was getting excited for your big milestone was this is one of the most practical and tactical and usable podcasts. It's like a Rolodex of business advice, and to keep showing up and producing that quality for 200 episodes, it's more than just sticking with it and being awesome. Definitely worth celebrating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So inside the Her Business Network, as you know, Belinda, we share a framework called the connection statement, which is essentially a way for our members to introduce themselves and their businesses in a succinct way that tells the person hearing the connection statement who their ideal client is, what they sell, how they deliver results. And it's a way of them putting their best foot forward in all kinds of situations, from networking interactions to the copy on their website to their email signature to how they introduce themselves at meetings. And in fact, in a conversation that Belinda and I had about 7 years ago, it inspired the creation of this connection statement, which is a pillar inside the Her Business Network and a way for our members to get known, liked, and trusted in any community and to make sales and get new clients. So Belinda, I would love to ask you what your connection statement is so that everyone listening here can learn a little bit more about your business.
Yeah, so my name is Belinda Weaver. My business is Copyright Matters, and I help aspiring and working copywriters create businesses they love to work in. So whether it's boosting their rates to earn more, working with clients they love to work with, or just avoiding career burnout, I have courses and coaching that boost skills and confidence.
I love it. And if you are just getting your first experience of the connection statement, notice that in just a couple of sentences, we know who Belinda's ideal client is. We know what she does. We know what products and services she offers. We know how she delivers results. So good. Thank you. Tell us a little bit. Thank you firstly for the acknowledgement of the show. Thank you for being a long-time listener. How long have you been listening?
Well, when you asked which my favorite episodes were, the first ones I thought of were actually early in the back catalogue, like the
Wow.
under 100s. So that's how long I've been listening.
That's
I'd
how
say
long.
from the beginning. And probably like a lot of listeners, I don't listen to every single episode, but look at your faces. What? No, why did we invite her?
What?
But, yeah, but
She's off. Get her off.
as I said, it's like Rolodex. So I know when I
Yeah.
have a question or whether something's coming up, this is my, hang on, let me come and see what Suzi and Michelle have got to say about this. And there's always something.
I love it. And did you manage to choose a favorite episode that you can tell us about? And here's what I want to know. I want to know what the episode is. And because you said it's like a Rolodex, it's practical. So how have you applied it in your business?
So the first one I thought of is number 56, and
Okay.
it's about crafting webinars. So I've run webinars for years, and my webinars have slowly but surely had more added layers to them, where they've gone from just one short webinar to a webinar with an offer to a multi-day event. And each time I get something from this episode. So it helped me transition from the information to the pitch to boost sales. But each time, like so many things, the first time you hear it, you get something. And each time I listen to that episode, I get something new. And to the point where I had a little listen to it because I was like, is it still my favorite? Like, is this as good as I remember? And I wrote down a couple of points that I'm going to work in to an event I'm running in January. So for me, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
I love that. And one thing we do strive to do is make the podcast episodes evergreen, which means that you could watch them, listen to them 7 years ago or listen to them today, and they're still relevant. Now, sometimes we do topical latest tools or something very of the minute, but pretty much it's like combined over 45 years of marketing experience, but also still being marketing students ourselves that we're imbuing into the show. Michelle, anything you want to add before I ask Melinda another question?
I'm just loving seeing the perspective of the Rolodex. I think that is such a brilliant way to think about it. I love it.
I love it too. I can actually see a promotional reel with a little.
Yeah, that's what I think of. I think of my little fingers going clack, 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 clack. I'll have the one on webinars. Thank you very much.
For those of you too young to know what a Rolodex is,
oh my God,
tell you.
Google.
Belinda, was there another like close follow-up, just missed by nose episode?
Yes, I think it was number 23, offers that sell. Like that 7-part framework is just the backbone of creating offers that sell. And it's one of those, this is everything you need to know about this. And when I'm putting an offer together, I use this framework to push my own offers from kind of being okay to being much stronger. So that offer checklist has helped me and challenged me to step up and provide a much stronger, more enticing offer. So I see Kat says, yeah, I use that all the time. We talk about it in my group, Confident Copywriting, all the time. It's referenced a lot. It's just so useful. And if I can be really sneaky and add one more, the episode where you talk to Ruth about repurposing content.
Yes.
Like that actually comes up in conversations in different groups I'm in, where they're like, oh, this is one you absolutely have to listen to. And I'm like, oh, I know Suzi and Michelle. So they're the 3 that I really had trouble choosing between, the ones I listen to all the time.
Thank you. And you'll hear, you're going to hear people echoing some of these episodes, because what we did find when we went back, and we had so many people respond to the question of what was your favorite episode, we're going to be giving shout outs to some of them. Some of the episodes, Michelle just kept showing up again and again and again. And it's not that they're necessarily better than any other of the 200, but they seem to have some sort of stickiness. And so thank you. I can see here a bunch of people, Chris saying, yes, that is a classic. That is about the How to Craft an Offer That Sells episode. Offers that sell can be listened to again and again to help strengthen that skill. Absolutely. And as Belinda indicated, it comes with an actual checklist that says when you are crafting your offer, here's the 7 elements that you want to have, because as we say on the show, people don't buy your products or services, they buy your offers. So if you're saying, I sell nutrition services, that's very different to crafting an offer And so you definitely want to check that out. We're going to be putting on our show notes page links to some of these episodes that we've highlighted, as well as links to the guests' website so that you can learn a little more about what they do. Thank you so much, Belinda. Thank you for being a long-time listener and supporter of the show. Thank you for the support that you've shown me and Michelle throughout the years. We love hearing, and we just wish you all the very best for your business. Is there anything you want to say before you go?
Well, I noticed in the comments that a few people are like, I'm going to Google this episode. Absolutely dig into the back catalogue because it is a goldmine. And I had a really fun weekend dipping into some episodes that I hadn't listened to before, just to kind of check if those were my favorites. So really
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. So appreciate it. Please give Belinda a virtual round of applause.
Thank you, ladies. You're awesome.
If you're watching live, please do. And thank you. Stick around. We've got lots more coming up. Thank you, Belinda.
Oh, we love doing this show and just hearing your words, Belinda, and seeing the comments and seeing all those faces of people that we know have left reviews or made comments or a part of Her Business community or part of the Marketing Success Mastermind here. I'm just feeling all very loved up right now and inspired. And Suzi, we did actually get, like you said, a ton of messages from others when we put the word out and said, hey, we're doing this episode live. Tell us, what are your favorite episodes? And we got quite a few people sharing. In fact, more than we can probably share on the show, but we want to give it a red hot go. So we thought we'd share a few. But before we get into sharing a couple of the specific episodes that people shared with us on social media, we also love those messages from people that said, please don't make me choose. I love them all.
I love it. It was just so serious. It's like, no, I can't. I just can't. Which it just tells you how much they appreciate the show, which I love. One, which is something like that, is from longtime listener and Her Business Network member, Deb Bauer of Oliver Nash. Now, Deb is in Tasmania. She makes amazing all-natural products like soaps and moisturizers, body creams, sourced from local producers and local products, namely olive oil. Found in Tasmania. Beautiful, beautiful. It's all, for the environment. We absolutely love Oliver Nash. And Deb said this. She said, I thought I had a favorite episode. And then I heard the next one and then the next one. So my favorite is episode 1 to episode 199, as every podcast has so many aha moments. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Deb. And thanks for being such a wonderful, loyal listener to the show. And I absolutely love what you said there, that your episode's favorite is 1 to 199. Anna von Zimmer from Book Me Now also had a similar statement and something quite fun that she said. She's an editor and a writing coach, actually, Anna von Zimmer from Book Me Now. Great name. And she helps people plan their books out and offers an amazing service. And she had me chuckling with this one. She said, asking which episode is your favorite is a bit like asking who your favorite child is. Ha ha ha. They've all been my favorites because I've learned lots and I have laughed as well. I know that doesn't help you, but it makes me happy. It does help us and it makes us happy too.
I love it. And she had a little cool emoji in that post as well. So thank you so much, Anna. All right. Now, go ahead.
We said for our listeners that are here with us live, we said we had a few questions for you. And we love it when you interact. So keep interacting, keep throwing comments in. We love that. And our first question to everyone who's tuning in live is, what episode do you want to give a special shout out to? Just go ahead and pop it into the chat.
Yeah, and Kat, while you're doing that, Kat said she's creating a playlist. So as you're hearing these episodes, just jot them down. And like I said, we're going to give you a link to show notes. And on the show notes, we will put links to those specific episodes. And Belinda's giving Deb's olive oil products a big shout out. Yes, Deb is a wonderful supporter of the Her Business Network. She's also a sponsor of our Reach Retreat in Hawaii and furnished all of us with those gorgeous products. All righty. So just go ahead and post in the comments and we'll share them on screen as we go today.
Awesome. So let's take a look at some messages where listeners did share their favorites rather than just saying we love them all. And this first one is from Chris Urquhart of My Natural Awakenings. And Chris says, the Content Sales podcast is what led me to Her Business. I found it when I searched for a marketing podcast to listen to while I exercise. Great idea, listening to the show while you exercise or walk or drive. Suzi and Michelle helped me to regain enthusiasm for my business. Their uplifting style and concrete advice inspires and gets my creativity juices flowing. There are too many favorite episodes to name. Yes, I've listened to almost all, but episode 179 deserves a special mention for the fun, buffy term. And that's episode 179, Why Your Marketing Needs to Be More Buffy. And Buffy, you need more buff. And she said it provides focus, solid direction that every marketer needs to hear. Thanks so much for all you do. This podcast is top notch. And this last little bit just had us both laughing. Congratulations on your 200th episode. That is an exceptional achievement, and you deserve all the kudos and chocolate. You deserve chocolate too, served with wine. We agree.
I love it. Chocolate, wine, anytime.
And actually, Suzi, this is one of my favorite episodes too. This idea of being more buffy with your marketing, and buff is in itself a buffy idea. It's us coming up with something that's going to attract your attention, that's going to be quite like overt. It's not shrinking into the background as so much of our marketing tends to be. We're a bit timid with our marketing, I think. And this is really this idea of, no, break out of those timid shackles and be more buffy. And so it's an idea we talk about a lot in the Marketing Success Mastermind, and it really gained a lot of traction there. And in fact, a lot of the times the things that gain traction in the mastermind, we think, oh, we should do an episode on that.
Yes.
And that's where the buff idea came from. And so just, for everybody, we're going to keep singing this song about don't hide your light under a bushel. Don't make it hard for people to buy from you. You need to be overt and obvious and loud and proud. And when people are first getting in touch with you or first discovering you, don't write the essay. It's got to be sharp and catchy and interesting and hooks and visual, all the things that buff kind of contains, rather than being obtuse or obscure or hiding things or leaving things buried in bad design. So shine your light is really what buff is all about, and grab the attention of the people that you can help the most and that you're here to help.
I love that. And it is an idea that's really stuck, especially in our Marketing Success Mastermind, where we'll review someone's landing page or their ebook cover or their book cover or the name of their webinar. We're like, not enough buff. It needs to show up more. And so I noticed Jackie Campbell, who's in our mastermind earlier, she posted this. She said, huge achievement, Suzi and Michelle. This was at the top of the show today. She said, a buffy thank you from all of us, right? So she's not saying just a thank you. It's a big buffy thank you. And so when you listen to this episode, you'll really get a sense of what we mean by this idea and where you can add more buff into your marketing. And so Chris, as I mentioned earlier, is one of our US-based members. She's so awesome at showing up and supporting others inside of our community. And I can see why this is a favorite, because the idea of being buffy, it takes courage. It takes a little bit of a gob moment for many of us, especially those who might be a little introverted. We don't want to impose on people, but getting your message out, crafting your bolder offers, turning up on social media, getting into people's inboxes, putting your offer forward, the buffier you can be, the more you're going to stand out from the crowd. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for that. We've also got an episode, another episode that got quite a few votes, and that's episode 177. So you can see we're jumping around our 200 a little bit. And it's the most common newsletter mistakes and how to fix them. And both Prue Saxby of Grant Writing Academy and Sue Bell of Sue Bell Research, both of whom are in our mastermind, they both listed this as one of their faves. And in this episode, what we talk about is exactly what the title says. The mistakes we see over and over again that people are making in their newsletters, and how to correct those. Because you're taking the time and effort to create the newsletter, so why not make sure that you're not making these mistakes? I'll tell you what Prue said. She said, I love them all, but a recent favorite was 177, 7 most common newsletter mistakes and how to fix them. Might have been a sign with all those sevens, she said. After listening to this episode, I realized I needed to get serious and rev up my monthly communications to go out weekly. Okay, so she went from monthly to weekly. She said, the information that Suzi and Michelle shared gave me clarity and helped me think more strategically. I created what she calls her 3-2-1 grants newsletter. So Prue helps women and men and organizations win grants, right? Government grants, all sorts of grants, so getting money from grants. She said her 321 newsletter provides weekly ideas, tips, and inspiration. Plus, once a month, she includes her free grant list. So every month, she says, these are the grants that are available. Check out if you're eligible. So she said that she put the newsletter out. She got great feedback. She's stayed consistent with this, and she's repurposing her content. So these are ideas that she got inside of this particular episode. And Sue from Sue Bell Research, she said, I agree with Prue. The newsletter episode had a real impact on me at the time. I need to listen to it again to remember the specifics. She said, but one particular piece of advice from that episode was to seed what's coming next. Here's what we mean by that. Is to always be letting people in just a little bit on what you've got coming up, building anticipation, building a desire for what it is that you have coming that you've created specifically for them because they are your ideal client, and you've created offers that perfectly match that ideal client, which you have, right? You have. So if you send a regular newsletter, or maybe you're thinking of starting one, you definitely want to check out episode 177, 7 most common newsletter mistakes and how to fix them. And once again, we'll put a link to that in our show notes.
It's going to be a show note full of monster links. There's going to be, so many episodes linked. It's
Yes,
going to be the one show note to go to get all of the different shows. So thank you so much, Prue and Susan. And there were a number of people who picked out that newsletter episode. And Susie, I just saw in the comments there a few people actually calling out the newsletter episodes as well. And I think Kat's saying, I'm going to have to listen to that e-newsletter one again. So yeah, I think it's worth going back over it, because we also don't necessarily think you have to have a newsletter, right? Like there's a whole bunch of reasons why you wouldn't have a newsletter. But if you are going to have one, don't just make it that rinse and repeat, snooze and lose, gradually just turn off your email list kind of automated, boring piece of communication. It really does need to work for you. Remember, no content without conversion. So what is the conversion job of your newsletter? We give you a ton of ideas about what that might be in that episode. So thanks again for pulling that one out, Prue and Susan. Now, next question for our live listeners, and I'm loving seeing the comments in the chat. Where do you listen to the Content Sells podcast? Are you somebody who does it while exercising or walking or driving? Let us know. I'm curious. Where is everybody checking out the podcast?
Well, Amanda's saying she needs to go on a long drive or a walk just to catch up with all those episodes. Great.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll keep an eye out for those, Michelle.
Okay, great. Now, let's get on to our next guest. Yes. And I'm excited to welcome another one of our listeners onto the show. This is somebody who has an amazing business helping women who've had a corporate career and now they want to break out and start their own business, maybe beginning with a side hustle or making that progression from, the very entrenched kind of career into being their own boss, running their own show. She's the queen of the side hustle, the champion of remote working and location independence, and she's leading by example. And she's one of our beloved marketing success masterminders. And I'm talking, of course, about Chandra Moran from the Transit Lounge. Welcome to our live 200th episode.
Woo, woo, woo. Where is she?
Where are you, my lovely? She was here a minute ago. Hi.
I was just listening to a podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. We love seeing your beautiful smiling face. And we are so appreciative of you taking the time really to share what your favorite episodes are and to talk a bit about the show. But first, we want to hear, Kat says, queen of the side hustle indeed. We want to hear your connection statement. As Susie said, this is such a great way and such a portable way for other people to just instantly get what it is you do, who it is you serve, and maybe who they can refer to you. So let us know. Tell us your connection statement.
Thank you, Michelle. So hello, my name is Chandra. My business is called the Transit Lounge, and I work with career women who want to grow a side business to be their future main business. And I help them to do that through private coaching and my online coaching and implementation group called Women in Transit, the path to being your own boss.
So good.
How clear is that?
It's taken some chipping away.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you say that, because it's that whole thing. I'd have written you a shorter note, but I ran out of time. To get down
Yes.
to that concise, every word has meaning, and you've got to evaluate, what am I, this or am I that? Do I stand for this? Do I explain my program as a this or a that? And all of that sharpening of the axe is really, really powerful. And then you have something that really cuts through, like you have got right now. And Belinda's saying, for everyone listening to these smooth connection statements, they evolve over time. And Suzi, I know you could speak to that. I know you've helped hundreds of people with their connection statements.
They are such an important part of being able to position yourself, because once you get this down, and you might agree, Chandra, is that you don't have to overthink. What am I going to say when someone says, oh, who are you and what do you do? And you don't miss that opportunity that is often just a few seconds to put your best foot forward every single time. We've even had members win prizes. They turn up at different networking events and there's a prize for the person with the best introduction, and they'll get it time and time again. Or people just move in closer and like, wow, that's really good. How did you do that? And what they don't realize is the connection statement is a 4-part formula. And it's one of the very first things you learn when you join the Her Business Network. And then, as you know, Belinda said in comments, you refine over time. So beautifully said, Chandra. Really good.
Well, chipping away, as I said. And I have also been in situations where I've used whatever the current version of my connection statement was at the time, and it opened up a speaking opportunity for me. And that was the first time I'd ever even spoken to a person in this group. And it was just another one of those reminders about how powerful this connection statement can be. And yeah, as building on Belinda's comment, I just encourage people that are still chipping away, know that's part of the process, and it's really worth investing the time and energy in, for sure.
Thank you.
Love it, love it. Now we want to know, tell us, what is your favorite episode? But also, we're not, it's not, I mean, we love you saying it. We love this episode, but really what we want to know is, how did it benefit you? What did you put into practice? Because that is why we do the show. We want to help women grow strong businesses, to have the lives they love, to make the impact they want to make. And so we're really curious. We want to know, what did you use? How did you do it? What happened? Tell us all.
Well, the good news is, Michelle, that you don't just have that as what you want to do. You do that every day, and every episode that you guys put out, and all the content that you provide is amazing. And I am going to be rebellious and say I'm actually not choosing a favorite. I'm happy to share some episodes that I that have come to mind. I'm not declaring that they're favorites or not, because I just don't. And I do agree with the comments about choosing your favorite child or whatever. When I was asked the question, after I got over the shock of even the thought of choosing one, I thought, okay, well, how can I contribute positively? And I thought, okay, what just allow something to come to mind. And the one that came to mind was actually quite a recent one, which was episode 195, I think it was, about stacking momentum with your marketing plan. And so for me, it was particularly came to mind, and there's another couple that I'll mention too, but because it really practically made me think about the effort of marketing planning in advance, and not just suddenly going, oh, I've got to do something quickly, what am I going to pull together, but actually doing that, but doing it with greater intention about what will you do on the back end of the thing that you're planning to do, so that you don't lose that momentum of all of the energy of whatever campaign I was running.
Yes.
New people to the business, putting an offer in front of them. Some people bought, yay. Many people didn't. What happens with those people so they don't go cold? And so it really made me think about, how do I do the double dip, if you like, of thinking about the ways that I can perhaps run a campaign to promote my membership. But then for people that didn't buy, and I do have some people say to me, oh, I don't like groups. I don't have the patience. I want to do private thing, because I just want to dive in. So for me to actually intentionally have the opportunity to offer that, to see, for some people, they may just prefer, even though it's more expensive, they just may prefer that other thing. Yeah. So for me to not kind of go, oh, I did that thing, that's done now, and then, go away and do other things for a while, and then try and reboot things, to actually think about, how do I build on that wave? That was an amazing takeout for me that I'm really excited about adding in even more into my planning for next year.
I love that. And it does help to like change the cogs in your brain so that you're just thinking a different way. And, you know, I think one of the biggest things we have as a challenge as marketers, as business owners, isn't about like getting people's attention necessarily. It's getting them to move at all. Inertia is such a huge thing, and it takes so much energy to get something moving. And then it's like a swing, you know, when you push a child on a swing and then you get them going, and then that momentum just kind of keeps them getting higher and higher. And it's kind of like when you don't think about stacking momentum, because a lot of people are great at planning, but if you're not planning to stack the momentum, when the swing, swing it back and then swing it again and let that momentum build, what you're doing is you're getting the swing, you're taking all that effort to get the first swing, and then you bring it back and you're going, okay, stop. All right, now wait 6 weeks, right? Get all that energy back together again and push it again, right? Whereas you can move into this much more kind of effortless point. And that was the key point we wanted to make with that episode. It's not just about planning, it's building in that momentum. It's stacking what you're doing so everything builds on everything else.
Yeah. And we don't, like right now inside of her business, we're all about planning, but it's not a matter of, let me just put all the things that I want to do on a calendar. It's about this idea that Chandra's speaking about. Is like, if I do this before this, that's going to set that up perfectly for that next thing. But what that takes is actually being strategic about your marketing and your year and actually lifting yourself up. And we just spent a whole day with our masterminders having an all-day planning day. And as I said, inside the Her Business Network right now, we're offering so many resources and opportunities for women to plan. But it's not about just having a plan. It's about being strategic and stacking that momentum. And so taking that momentum, I've already put energy into this, doing this promotion, what's going to be the natural next thing? And so it's about very thoughtful marketing and placement of your promotions in that order. Thank you, Chandra. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Such a good share. And I love the generosity of this too, because other listeners will go, I need to listen to that right now. And so it's a way to kind of help others with your insights as well. And so before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to share or say, or an insight or any other
Yes. The other episode that came to mind very quickly that is a game changer, and if you haven't listened to it, you've got to put it on your list, is Webinars That Sell. And that is an episode that I remember, I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to it and made so many notes. But I've actually, from that, because it's another one that shares an amazing framework, and I have used that to help structure my webinars. And I really noticed when I overlaid what I had been doing previously with the structure that you suggested, it just made the transition to the sales pitch so much easier. And it also it helped me not just do the breadcrumbs of putting something out there and hoping that people would pick up the clues about buying. And so it's a really great one that I've used, so many times to apply to my webinar. So definitely that's another one that's on the must-listen list, not the favorite list, the must-listen list.
I like the consciousness about the language.
Yes. The other, I am maybe prepared to say that my favorite episode is just whichever the most recent one is that I've listened to. It's be on top of mind. I've got a cautionary tale about where you listen to the podcast. I find it quite frustrating if I'm listening and I can't take notes. And so then I pause it and then I'm like, I have to, hurry home or whatever. So definitely it's a podcast to listen to with easy access to note taking. And another thing that I suggest for people, like I know we're going to have this great list of all these ideas, but you could do this thing that I call podcast roulette, which is you go to the Content Sales podcast and you scroll down and it says show all episodes. You press that and then you just scroll and you go stop. What is it? Episode 58, creating content for different learning styles. I can guarantee I can learn stuff from that.
I love it.
Podcast roulette. I love it.
That is
only a few podcasts that you could do that with and guarantee that you're not going to get episodes that, they phone it in. because you guys never phone it in. Every episode is so packed with great practical tips that you can really use in your business in such a great, relatable, real way. Your passion comes through. So I just really want to echo all the others that have said congratulations on not just 200 episodes, but 200 cracking episodes that genuinely make a difference to the people that are listening to them. So thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Chandra. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a long-time listener, such a loyal supporter, such an advocate for us, for the show, for women in general running businesses and succeeding. We adore you. We can't wait to see your face again at any possible moment. We will take that opportunity. Thank you for being with us today.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
You're
so
lovely.
much. Thank you. Oh my gosh, these women. These women. I love this podcast roulette idea. And I know Belinda's she's giving that one a vote. Absolutely. And I did notice webinars that sell, which Belinda mentioned, came up again as a favorite, as I mentioned earlier. Well, not a favorite, a must listen. So there's that. And where are people listening, Michelle? Some people have been commenting, and I've just taken a screenshot because there were so many. Doing the housework, says Jeffrey. Listen in the car on my commute to my day job, says Kat. When walking, says Karen. And it says at my desk so I can take reams of notes. Jay says exercise. What's that? Ha ha ha. Always in the car, keeping me company. Stephanie Williams says while walking my dog, I stop and make notes on my phone often though. Yes, Stephanie, I do that. I take screenshots so I can see, not of my own podcast, but screenshots so I can see where in the podcast it was, so I can go back to that exact moment. Although I have been known to listen back to our episodes, as I know Michelle does. Because, we're in there, we're in real time. And I've gone back and thought, okay, I'm now working on a landing page. Let's go and listen to our own advice. I've gone back and done that. Jackie says back and forth to work. Prue says when I'm heading to the coast to see my dad who's in aged care. Nice to have impressive company on the trip. Oh, nice to come visit your dad with you.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the wonderful Amanda Farmer, I just have to shout her out here because she just she arrived. She said, hey, you three superstars. So Chandra, this is for you too. She says, congrats on the big 200, Suzi Michelle. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda. All righty. So we had so many people name their episodes, as I mentioned. This is one we haven't heard yet. And this is from Iman Iskander of Culture of Care. She's a couples therapist. She does amazing work, whether you are like on the brink of divorce, whether you're trying to heal a relationship, whatever it is that's going on in your relationship, she's someone who can help. And she said, I really like the episode with Brandy Mals. She was one of our guests. We often bring in guests who are private contacts of mine and Michelle that we bring onto the show. She said, I also love the way Suzi and Michelle summarize the key takeaways after each guest interview. This helps cement the learning when I'm on the go. And if ever you're interviewing anyone, one of the things that I know Michelle and I like to do is we like to be the listener. So while we are the host and we're the interviewer, we always got our ideal clients' ears on and we're asking questions that we feel our ideal clients would ask. So that's just a little tip if you're interviewing. So this episode that Iman spoke about with Brandy Moles is episode 178. It's called How to Get Free Leads with Self-Liquidating Offers. Now, Brandy is a wonderful entrepreneur. She rose to 6 figures in her first year in business. She's gone on to many 7 figures. And basically what she teaches is how do you offer something that is low cost that someone will buy. And the idea of this is how do you get away from just having people who seek your free things to getting people to buy something from you? Because when someone demonstrates that they'll buy something, whether it's a $19, $29, then they're likely to buy more. She actually takes you through how she accidentally added 6 figures to her business with one of these self-liquidating offers.
Oops, I just added 6 figures to my business. Oops.
I know. Happens. What makes a good SLO? SLO stands for self-liquidating offer. So what we mean by self-liquidating is basically if you are paying for ads, if you are paying to sponsored emails, etc., you would sell enough of these things that it's self-liquidating. It's a zero cost. So basically you're acquiring leads and potentially customers at zero cost. So this is a conversation we were having inside of our mastermind recently, is people thinking of doing like really low cost upsells to what they were. So say you have an ebook that you're getting downloaded or something free that you're offering. Could you on the next page offer something that's low cost? just to get people to take the next action and to buy something. And this is especially a good idea when you have a business model where people can't buy from you all the time because you only run that course twice a year, or only membership that many times, or you only offer your in-house training. Then what is it that people could buy from you so that you can see the ones who are really qualified buyers, but it also brings in a little bit of income? So one to dig into. She's a master at this, and it was a really good, fun episode.
It was. I love that episode, and so much to learn about self-liquidating offers. And I think with them, the key is a bit of grit, kind of realizing, look, I might have to spend some money, or as Suzi, you put it the other day, donate to Facebook or wherever it is to kind of crack that nut. But, many people will think nothing of spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go to university, or thousands and thousands of dollars on a course. Sometimes the investment in your learning is in paying for a bit of traffic, or, trying some experiments to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that can be very much the case with SLO. Of course, Brandy helps you to fast track a lot of that with the awesome episode. So thank you, Iman. That was a great one to bring up out of the archive. And I love that was one featuring a guest. And we've got another one, Suzi, that features a guest. And this one is one that has already had a mention on the show today, and it gets mentioned all the time. And Belinda hinted to it. She said wherever she is, she often hears it referred to as well. It is, I think, a really incredible Content Sales episode, and it is a favorite of Tasha Jennings of Conceive Baby. And Tasha Jennings is an incredible naturopath who helps families to conceive naturally, and she is a master at what she does. And if you are interested in this topic at all, I suggest you go and check her out. Tasha Jennings of Conceive Baby. She has a podcast, she has courses, she has all kinds of wonderful things. She is also a member of our Marketing Success Mastermind, and she says, love them all. One of my absolute faves was episode 170 with Ruth Basinski about repurposing content. Such simple, brilliant strategies, gold. And the actual official episode name is episode 170, Repurposing Your Content and Making More with Less, with Ruth Basinski. And this is actually an episode that another person shouted out, and that is Jane Gallagher from Honey and Fox, who does amazing work with food businesses and helping them to tell their providence stories and to grow their businesses through really powerful marketing strategies that connect in a very deep way with their global audiences. The food source. What do they call them? Food founders, I think it is. And she also called this episode out as her fave. She says, episode 170, Repurposing Your Content and Making More with Less, was really inspiring. And we're now designing our content for her My Food business so we can repurpose and monetize the effort multiple times. And talk about stacking momentum. It takes so much effort to create that big thing. And then often it gets a bit of a run. We give it a Guernsey, it runs on the field for a little bit, and then we bench it. Whereas Ruth just blew the doors off that strategy entirely. And Ruth is amazing. She is somebody that I've known for, I think, about 8 years. And she has continued to inspire everybody around her with the way she runs her business. And she had a business that was doing live events, and the bottom really fell out of that. And she had to reinvent. She had to pivot. She pivoted to online summits, and she was doing these big summits with many, many guests. And she's like, surely I can repurpose all of this content. And what she discovered was, yes, she could. And boy, could she do that. So she was making about $3 million in sales with her online program, which is already an awesome result. Then she decided this repurposing strategy was worth a go. And the same strategies that she shares on the episode added an additional $15 million in sales. So she went from 3 million to 18 million by just simply re-editing, repurposing, rechunking the content she'd already created. So now she has a range of new products and programs that bring in even more revenue by a factor of 5 than the original product itself. So more than 500% in revenue growth with one repurposing strategy. And she shares some super smart things that she's done over the years to really master this repurposing, because it's not just about slice and dice. She's very mindful right from the start about what you do. So definitely suggest checking that one out.
Yeah, very good. I think that's going to be a lot of people's new favorite
Yeah.
episode. I'm seeing wowzers and hooly dooly, and what a huge ROI from creative thinking. And she actually does walk you through the process of how she does it, which is great because we all know about repurposing. We've heard of this idea, like you might do something, you use the transcript, you create social posts, but this is different. This is how you monetize content you already have. If you already create content that you think could be repurposed, go ahead and put me in chat for me. Because like Michelle said, if your gold is trapped in this little MP4 file or a little MOV file somewhere or in an ebook, where could it be making you money? Where could it be making you money? So go ahead. Yeah, lots of me's coming through. Go ahead and have a listen. And as Michelle said, that is episode 170. I want you to do podcast roulette and see if you land on 170. Even if not, go find 170. That's where the gold is.
Podcast roulette. I love it.
Thank you. And thank you, Tasha and Jane. So good. Thank you. All right. It's time for us to welcome another one of our guests. This is someone who has decades of experience in the hospitality industry. She's changing the world. One customer experience over time, one frontline worker at a time. She is renowned in her industry for her authority, and having been with her for a number of years now, having known her, seeing the deep care she has for her ideal client and seeing them succeed. She's an incredible member of the Her Business Network. Please welcome to our live 200th episode, Michelle Pasco. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me, and congratulations, Michelle and Suzi. 200 episodes. How would you ever think that when you first started out that this is where you would be, and the changes that you've made to individuals, organizations, and teams? So thank you so much on behalf of myself, and I know all your listeners. Every episode is an absolute gem. Even when I'm very much like Chandra, I do that, and I must say that podcast roulette is a very good idea, but I do that, I just flick it on and whatever, happens, it happens. And even sometimes I think to myself, oh, is this really going to be relatable to me? I listen to it and I still pick up gems. And I think that's what it makes the podcast so interesting. It's relatable to everybody, whether this is your first day starting a business, you're thinking about it, or you've been around the traps for quite a while like me.
Quite a while, like a few of us here on the screen right now. So do tell us, how long have you been listening?
Well, you know what, being a member of Her Business for so long, and I sort of dipped in and dipped out, as you know, over many, it feels like decades now. But I've connected with it during COVID because, like many businesses, my business closed down overnight as I deal with the hospitality industry. All of a sudden, having to terminate team members, being isolated, not being able to go out and have the half-strength lattes with my clients and chat for hours, I really felt isolated. So I turned to podcasts, and even though you told me about it a million times in emails, I hadn't really just taken the time to do it. So then I found it and I've stuck with it. But, I continue to return, just like, Chandra was saying and your other listeners, is that you can listen to them multiple times. And every time you do, something new will come out of it. So I've always found every episode. And I go back and I listen again. I go, oh, yeah, I missed that last time. Or, heck, you listened to it last time. Why haven't you implemented it? So that's why, listen to it again. And then this time actually implement what Suzi and Michelle are telling you to do. Love slap, yeah.
Now, a couple of people have said, oh, she's such a pro, she's such a professional. But one thing I did forget to do that Michelle's going to ask you before she asks you the next question was a little more about you.
A little bit more.
Yes. Tell us your connection statement. We want to hear it. We want a full set from all three of our guests.
Perfect. So I'm Michelle Pasco. I established my company in 1994, Optimum Operating Procedures and Services, better known as OPS. And I work with frontline teams and leaders in the hospitality industry, specifically the registered club industry, providing customer experience training, that will have their members and guests returning and recommending, while igniting the potential of individuals developing a united leadership team through my programs and research.
Love it. And again, I just want to, for everyone listening, couple of sentences. Sometimes you have to refer back to them. I'll often do meetings and people are like, oh, let me just get it off the wall here and read it. But then once you get it down, it will start to roll off the tongue. As Michelle said earlier, Michelle Falzon said, it's portable. You can put it in the beautiful proposals that you use for your clients, on your website, in your social media channels. It's so, so portable.
It is.
I love it.
And it's funny, because I've had my business for so long and so many different facets of it. Every time I would go to a meeting, whether it was a client or a network meeting, I said, so what do I do? And I would just blurt along probably for like 5 minutes. And I'd see their eyes glaze over and they'd go, wow, that's really interesting, thinking they do not know what a single thing I'm doing. Honestly, and it really has been this last 12 months where I've been really engaged with everything that you put out, being in the marketing mastermind with you both, and then of course going to Reach. Everything has just come together in this last 12 months. And now I've got that connection statement. And I say it over and over again. And I'm not just saying it because I'm on this podcast. 27 years ago, blah, 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 has really been up in this last 12 months. So people went, yes, that's what she does. So,
very good.
It's very powerful. It is so powerful when you can show up and boldly, articulately, confidently, succinctly say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I serve. Drop the mic. So I love that. And I'm excited because it does signify more than one statement. As you say, a whole lot of things are coming into alignment for you. And we're seeing that, which we absolutely love. And I also loved what you said about going back to old episodes and then hearing kind of like the episode for the first time. And I mean, that happens to me with podcasts and with books. And I saw a few people say they agreed with you in the chat. Belinda says, you hear the message you need when you're ready to hear it. And it makes me think about your episode choice for today's show. What did you have? Are you calling it a favorite? Are you calling it a must listen? What are you calling it? And what is it?
Well, it is a definite favorite and it is a must listen because it comes back to that connection statement and how often we talk about ourselves. And as much as enjoyable it is for us perhaps to say it at times, this episode really got me connected and once again focusing on exactly what I do and not just hearing it from me. And that was episode 168, How to Use Social Proof to Increase Sales. Got to listen to it. And I'm sure you do have all the times, and there's probably lots of listeners that have. But what really struck me with this was that we have to be on social media. Well, that's what we're told all the time. Even back in the old days, when it was cold calling and, walking from building to building with the business card and the trifold pamphlet, we were still talking about me, what I could do for you. Whereas listening to this episode, it came back to, why don't you use those testimonials, Michelle, that people have been giving to you for all this time? Why not you use that social proof, that the words that are coming from them, not just what they say at the end of your, your performance on stage or your front of that training program. They go, oh, that was marvelous. And then, you put it into your own words, but actually using those. So my beautiful PA, Sarah, has been collecting all of these from our recent clients. And it's just fantastic because what happens now, what this episode did for me was to start collecting this, is that I'm seeing the momentum of my business increasing already by over 150% in the last less than 12 months. All because of the both of you, truly, and her business team, is that when I put these up, particularly on LinkedIn where my clients are, they see my prospective clients. So when I sit down with them at a meeting, they already, it's like a warm call, so to speak, because they'll say to me, oh, we saw that, XYZ was, gave you a testimonial, or we saw them in that photograph that you had. We've known them for so many years. It's great. And so they already know, because the majority of time, they've actually even called them. And I've had my clients say, oh, Michelle, we've already had a call from so-and-so club. because, they saw my testimonial on LinkedIn or on Facebook, but predominantly LinkedIn is the world I'm in. And that's all because of that episode, because I was still, talking about what I could do for you. But that social proof, oh my goodness, it really has made a massive change to the way I think, but also that connection with my prospective clients and clients themselves, because they love to see them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
so powerful what you're saying there. I think social proof, when you connect to your customers' success, that is very gratifying for you. It kind of gives you energy to keep moving when you want to collect those statements, but it also gets you more invested, I've found, in the customer success, which makes your product better, which gets more customer success, which becomes this very fabulous virtuous cycle. And what you're speaking about there, when the prospective client sees the club you're talking about or the client you're talking about, and they call them, you're basically triggering like a reverse referral. You know what I mean? And they are the hottest kinds of leads that you can get when they can call their friend and say, oh, you worked with Michelle. What was she like? You're triggering that kind of reverse referral. And it's so exciting to see. 150%. Love it. And may it long continue.
Yeah. And I want to add, whether you've had one customer or you've got hundreds of customers like Michelle, this still applies. So if you have one good customer story, one good evidence that you help people, you want to use that. You want to use that everywhere. And of course, if you've been in business for a while, which a lot of the women who joined her business, they've been out there in the world trying to find their feet, and now they want to be more organized, more strategic. If you can put those stories together, do listen to that episode and start to use them. Nothing sells what you do better than your clients' actual words, real people like them, and having, and you have different profiles of different customers, Michelle. So you might be showing the stories from certain types of clubs to certain types of clients. And this type of client is going to see this sort of social proof. So you can use it all. So very, very exciting. So strategic.
Yes. And closely followed by 191, stay in your lane. Because shiny balls. Oh my goodness. Over the last in my 29th year, going from one thing to another. Some things have worked out and some things I thought, why the devil did you go after that? So yes, quickly, they are both my top, but relating to just stay in that lane, just do what you do, and double down on it constantly, and as there is a saying that both you ladies use in her business, rinse and repeat. Yes.
Wonderful.
Good.
Absolutely. And there's a theme here, it's about building momentum. It's about doubling down. It's about rinsing and repeating. All of these things, there's kind of a DNA to a lot of these success secrets, even the idea of repurposing. It's staying in the lane. It's going deeper, finding your niche. You hear these secrets of success. This success leaves clues, and all the great successful people we've had on the show, all the things that we know work, often come back to these very kind of foundational ideas.
Getting lots of support on that one, on that episode. Another cracker episode, especially for those who have shiny object syndrome. And we've all had that. Keep your eyes on your work. Oh, so many thumbs up to this one. Jackie's got all her thumbs up. And Kat says, I love saying in your that it's one of your favorites. Yeah, great. And Belinda goes, gasp, I wanted to mention that one too. Definitely a favorite.
Oh, very good. So good to have you on the show. Tell me, is there anything you want to say before you head off, one parting words?
Just, listen to the podcast, whether it's in the car, whether you're sitting down at home relaxing. We've got, hopefully for many of you, you've got some time off during the holiday break. Just take some time for yourself. And I know we need to remove ourselves from our business for a little while for relaxation. But I find listening to the podcast is when we're in that frame of mind where we're just relaxed and we can listen to the podcast, you will pick up those gems. And every one of these 200 episodes, I strongly recommend. Michelle and Suzi, you do an amazing amount of personal work for every person in her business, every person at Reach, every person in the marketing mastermind. If you're not a member, You have to become. And I know this is just about your podcast, but it all connects. And that's probably the biggest thing that you learn is that everything is connected. So please, have a wonderful holiday. And for the both of you, congratulations once again. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart of being part of this 200th episode. I'm very honored and privileged.
Thank you so much. We adore you. Appreciate you so much. Oh my goodness.
So many gorgeous women in our world. It is just such a privilege. I just
hardworking women who are putting in the hours, women who are willing to go for it, who are gritty, who really want to grow and scale a business. They're not just putting their toe in and going, oh, I tried that, it didn't work. They're going back again and again for years and years and years and going, okay, I tried that, it didn't work. Let me go back. Let me do that again. Let me get some mentoring. Let me get some coaching. Let me tap into my network. Let me see how other women are doing this, and actually staying in the lane of personal and professional development, staying in the lane of, if it exists in the world, it can happen for me as well. Maybe I just need to find that path, those mentors, those coaches, that group of people. I wanted to mention one thing that Michelle said, because she mentioned the reach a couple of times. And so if you're listening and you don't know what that is, we have talked about it on the show. Reach is the Reach Retreat. It's our 5-day program that we run in Hawaii every year. And Michelle was just in the last program that we ran in October. We're back there again next October. And if you'd like some more information, we can certainly get that to you as well.
Yes, there'll be a link to that in the show note today. And you can also just check out the reachretreat.com and go ahead and apply. It is a thing to be at. It is the place to be. I can see some reaches here live on the show today.
Yes,
it really
absolutely.
is a life-changing experience. And I don't say that lightly. I know that's a phrase that gets bandied around, but really is something very, very special. So, Suzi, we're kind of, it was actually, people struggled to choose the episode that was their favorite, and we struggled to choose the choices because there were so many people that told us what they wanted, and we couldn't fit them all on the show. But we tried to pick a bit of diversity, and here is one that hasn't had a mention so far, and it's way, way, way back in the archives. And this is actually from the favorite episode from Julia Watts of Sample Room, and Julia is doing some incredible work in the fashion industry, helping designers to build their businesses, their fashion businesses, with onshore production. Really this shift from offshore to onshore, with helping them create really sustainable businesses, to learn the business of what it is to create a fashion label, to produce clothing. Many people get this very wrong. It costs them a lot of money. And Julia is the person to see first. Before you go and do all of the other things and spend all the money and make all the mistakes, she's the one that'll save you the years, the thousands of dollars. And she's a real leader in her industry, in the fashion space. And she says, so many, because the question was, what is your favorite? She said, so many. I had to research today. I love the commitment to the research, Suzi. Thank you for doing that. She says, the winner for me was episode 15, how to create great content without burning out. Something about the percolate was a game changer for me. And percolate is one of the steps in the process that we were explaining, where you just take some time to mull things over before you jump into action. And she says, I've always trusted my sleeping subconscious, but instead of using it to solve current problems, I now use it to think of ideas and let them brew, which I just love to hear that, Julia. This has allowed me to bring so many ideas to life over time and reduce the overwhelm of doing all the things at once. I just need to work a little harder on the celebrate and restorate, which is a couple of the other steps in the process. We talk about a series of steps that you'll learn about on the show if this interests you. And of course, once you've created, people rush back to kind of beginning the process again, when there's 2 really important steps of celebrating that work and then taking a little bit of time to rejuvenate, to pause, to reset, refresh. And she says she needs to work a little harder on those. Thank you both. So many fantastic episodes and so much golden marketing advice. So thank you, Julia.
Thank you, Julia. And I love that. That episode again is episode 15, 15, right? It's called How to Create Great Content Without Burning Out. And this is a model that Michelle created that she walks us through on that show. And it has these various steps, because this is a content marketing podcast, and we know that the thing with content, it's a hungry beast, right? And there's always a new deadline, and there's always another piece of content to create. Like we create this podcast, we need to create the next one. You create that blog post, that newsletter, that social post, etc. Because your audience has expectations, and it can become really stressful. And I know for me, I once parked an important piece of content for over a year because it just got too much, and I felt like I was on this burnout. But when it comes to your content, if you can use what's the lessons inside of this show, then your timing, how you approach your content, you will feel rejuvenated every time you're creating new content, rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do one more blog post, or do I really have to show up once again for a Facebook Live? So how do you avoid that burnout and feeling like you're not getting anywhere? You definitely want to check out this episode, and we're going to put the link in our show notes. Julia is right here watching, and so she says, thank you, ladies. Congratulations on your 200th episode. I've listened to you both and loved your advice for years. Looking forward to being part of your world for many years to come. Likewise, we appreciate you and love having you in our world. Julia is part of our Marketing Success Mastermind. So good. So just a reminder, I am going to be telling you how you can win these Apple AirPods very, very soon. But I've got another wonderful longtime member of her business who left us a message about an episode. Now, this is, again, another listener favorite, but it's Christy Lee Billett from the Footprint Group and People Powered HR who mentioned this. She's an HR specialist. She specializes in helping especially small business owners to bring on the right people, make the right hires, tool those staff members with what they need to be successful in their roles. And she does that both through one-on-one consulting, but also through her people-powered membership. She says, impossible to choose just one. She said the James Wedmore, I'll explain who that is in a minute, Videos That Sell episode is one from way back that I loved. Such a practical framework. So if you've ever had to do a video and you think, what the heck am I going to say? Where do I start? Where do I finish? James Wedmore gives us a step-by-step formula that he follows to create videos that aren't just entertaining and interesting, but they sell. Right. So this is one we often recommend. She had a second episode that closely followed, and it was episode 163, where we had another guest, and we love having guest episodes, where Will Hamilton shared the playbook strategy. So his playbook strategy, do you want to give that a quick explanation, Michelle, because you know his strategy better than I probably could explain it?
Yeah, sure. So Will he has a fantastic business called Fuzzy Yellow Balls, and he provides tennis instruction online and has created this incredible business. And he sells self-liquidating offers like Brandy was teaching, low dollar things that people buy a lot of, and that he's able to work the math on it so that he is making at least the money back that he spent to get that customer. So he's either at zero or he's making profit. And then every sale after that, he now has a list of buyers. Every sale after that is profit. So he, for many years, has done programs with Martina Navratilova and the Bryant brothers and Pat Rafter and all these great tennis greats. And they make tennis instruction packages and courses and things like that. And people buy them off him, how to play good doubles and how to, Martina helps you with your serve and things like that. And he thought, how much
can Michelle say about tennis?
I'm a sports nut. Will be so proud of me. But he pioneered this whole new way of creating content, and it's this idea of a playbook. So instead of a sequential course that has module 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's like more like a recipe book. So you don't cook every recipe in the book from start to finish. You go, I feel like curry tonight, and then you go and find the curry section and you cook the recipe that appeals to you. And it's the same with tennis instruction, but it could be the same with HR for Christy. There's a whole bunch of scenarios that a leader might need to deal with their people, and they can just go to the playbook and find the part where it's a difficult conversation or somebody's leaving or they need to issue a warning or whatever it is. So he's modularized his content in this sort of dip in, dip out way, and he shares how to tell if you've got content that could be used to this playbook format. And what's really great is that he is getting massive uptake because it's something new in the market. People are buying it in the thousands, and it is actually really effective because people can take it with them and use it exactly at their point of need. It's a great strategy.
And that's episode 163. And Christy Lee snuck in one more episode
Yeah.
as her favorite, and that is a recent one. It's episode 188, which is how to brief a graphic designer. And if you've ever had to brief in a brochure, a logo, a web page, anything, it can really help to have some language that the graphic designer is really going to understand. Because I mean, having designed briefed many graphic designers, as I know you have, Michelle, it can go terribly wrong if the brief isn't right. So that's episode 188.
Just giggling to myself about all the times it's gone wrong when you haven't done a good brief.
Oh my gosh. So thank you, Christy Lee. And to everyone who's here live, are you going to look up those episodes? Did one of those strike a chord with you? I know Kat says, yes, the Videos That Sell episode is awesome. And Mickey's saying Christy Lee is an amazing talent. And she's probably, she's worked with us. She's worked with a lot of members to help them get the right people. And Suzi Cheel, hello, Suzi Cheel. She's saying, I must listen to you. I must check out your podcast. Well, welcome. If you're just finding us for the first time, absolutely. And I can see the team's giving you the link, which it's, I'll just put it up. It is contentsalespodcast.com. It's going to take you to the Her Business website, right to where you'll find all the podcast episodes. And there's also a link there for you to subscribe on whatever platform you like to listen. So we're loving hearing all these faves. But Michelle, do you have a favorite?
Oh my goodness, Susie, I'm going to be one of those pikers that says, I don't know, I don't have a favorite. Although the whole content sales roulette has kind of got me intrigued. I'm just going to spin the wheel and see what I come up with. Although I will say the very first, I did want to say the very first episode 01 is called The Content Marketing Universe. And I had no clue what I was doing. Susie had to sort of lead me by the hand and say, this is how a podcast works. And we'd ideated what it should be. We were so excited. And we recorded that first episode and I was hooked. I just loved the format. And I wanted to say, Susie, thank you for taking me on that ride. It's been such a wonderful ride. So it was such a good way to begin. So I think for those nostalgic, heartfelt reasons, I would say this is one, The Content Marketing Universe. And I'm going to give the roulette a try. Spinning the wheel. Let's see. And I'm going to come up with episode, it's a newsletter theme. Episode 46. Our email newsletter is still worth doing. Actually, that is an episode I just mentioned, which is in contrast to yes, if you're going to do a newsletter, do it great, but you don't have to do a newsletter.
Yes.
And this is a good episode to listen to, episode 46. Our email newsletter is still worth doing. We give our opinions, some of them contentious.
I love that. I actually right after that episode, I think it might have been my favorite. Well, I can't say favorite. I'm just giving you some of the ones that I often refer people to.
Must listen.
Because like Michelle said, quite often people will ask me a question. It's like, I need help with this or that. I was like, there's a podcast episode for that. And I'll send them across. One that I tend to mention a lot, Michelle, is episode number 2, which is called Your Ideal Client. Because as marketers, as business owners, knowing who our ideal client isn't a surface level thing. You know, I've been in business since I was 27. I am still diving into who is my ideal client. What does she want? What does she need? What does she stay awake at night worrying about? What are the actual words that she uses to describe her problems? And anytime I see marketing go bad, it's usually because someone hasn't really dialed in who they are for. And sometimes we think, well, I'm for everybody. Let me let you know, you're not. You want to be able to, as the wonderful marketer Seth Godin says, be able to say, I made this for you, but not for you. And be really clear about who you're for, and the sharper you can be on that. And you'll find this theme of ideal client repeated multiple times in multiple episodes on the show. I'm also going to call out How to Craft an Offer That Sells, episode number 23, which was mentioned earlier, which gives you that 7-part framework of how to create offers. So now that we have our ideal client, we've chosen who we want to work with, what are we going to sell them? And we want it to be something that is a hand in glove fit for their pain points and their needs. But then how do we present it to them in a way that sells? And that's that episode. I'm going to keep going because I got another one. How to get awesome client stories, how to get awesome client stories, case studies, and testimonials, which is a good fit for Michelle Pascoe's recommendation about social proof. That's episode 20. And then, like I said, there's the early days and there's now. It's like, what happened in the middle? Love them all, but creating a runway. And those of you who are really closely attuned to the podcast episode will maybe have had the same shift that many people who hear this message have in their marketing. And that is paving the way for the sale. If we think about an aeroplane and it's on a runway, it starts to pick up speed and then it takes off. It doesn't go from standing still to being in the air. That would be a rocket. That momentum is what allows us to have great promotions. And often we don't give ourselves the lead time, the thinking space, the planning, the seeding, the time to get our emails in order, our messaging in order, our ads in order, our visuals in order, our strategic alliances, our audience in order. And we try, and then we have something that flops and we don't know why. And it's often because there's no runway. This idea of the runway came from, well, it didn't come from, but was inspired by my mentor and good friend of ours, Stu McLaren. So that's one there. And then along the same way, like sometimes we do tactical how to create a great video, and sometimes it's big mind shifts. And we love both equally, and they're equally important. And another kind of mind shifting one, I might ask you to talk about it, Michelle, just because I feel like I've been going blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I love it.
196, which is campaign thinking versus ad hoc marketing. So you're going to get a little mini marketing lesson here. So listen up.
Well, again, I think one of the things I think and hope that this show does well is that we are really creating episodes based on what we're seeing is happening with the people that we help. So we will notice, gosh, there's just too much ad hoc marketing. Like there's this idea that, Suzi and I've been doing marketing, like Suzi said, for 45 combined years, which we're understating just a little bit there, actually, what that number is. Because at some point you go, we're not mentioning any more years on top of that. But you get the curse of knowledge. You forget, because like campaign thinking is thinking in the way that it's not just a lead magnet I'm going to send out. What is the campaign that is associated with? What's the objective what do I want to sell at the end? What's going to happen after they opt in? How will I keep them warm? What is the next step that I want them to take? So much of what we talk about here on the show is really this idea of campaign thinking, and campaigns can be hiding in plain sight. You might think, oh, I'll just do a live episode for our 200th show like we did, and then go, right, actually, there's a whole campaign with that. We have written emails. We have created pages with competitions on it, which you'll find out about in a minute. We have created social posts. We've designed this show. We've invited guests. Like that was a campaign that we thought about and had a plan for. And when you don't see the campaign, when you're not seeing it in the camouflage of your business, then you can wonder why it didn't work, or why you're suddenly overwhelmed because there's 50 things you didn't realize you had to do. And you end up missing the opportunity that a campaign gives you. And what the opportunity is that a campaign gives you is to do more with less, to focus your attention and energy, laser focused on something that's got a beginning, a middle, an end. It is strategic. You know exactly what you're doing. Versus ad hoc marketing, which is a bit like what Michelle was saying. Shiny thing over here. Oh, lead magnet didn't work. I only sent a lead magnet once to one email, never thought about the follow-up. But lead magnets don't work. I'm going to create a podcast. Created 10 episodes. Didn't get 100 clients. Podcasts don't work. Oh, I'm going to go over here and do this and this. And you are just exhausting yourself, exhausting your bank account. So shifting from ad hoc marketing to campaign thinking is the way forward.
Check it out. That's episode 196. Catherine says, congratulations, Suzi and Michelle, on 200 nuggets of gold. I've got my holiday listening sorted. Yes, you do. If you think about it, some of them are an hour. So, that's a few hours. But, whichever way you approach it, you can't go wrong. Because like I said, most of them are totally evergreen, meaning that they still make as much sense and can be implemented now as they did when we first started.
Except the Clubhouse one.
Yeah, because what we did on Clubhouse, that was very opportunistic at the time, and it was like, what? Anyway, yeah, right. That was more tactical. This is what's happening right now. We want to, who's creating content. And look, some of you are probably still using it. I don't know. I'm not.
No.
Yeah, time very well spent. Thank you, Prue. Alrighty, so I want to thank every single person who has listened to the show whether you listen to one episode or all the episodes. And I want to thank all of you who shared what this show means to you. Our guests here today, those of you who've been commenting in the comments on our live show here, those of you who have sent us messages, those of you who subscribe to the Content Sales Podcast page on Facebook. This point in the show, when we're doing our recorded shows, we typically give a shout out to one of our listeners and thank them for their review, and we invite people to review. But it's been a whole show of reviews. But here's what we're going to do. We have this gorgeous pair of AirPod Pros valued at $399. And we've decided that we're going to do a little competition. We're going to give away these AirPods. And to be in the running, all you need to do is leave an honest review on Apple Podcasts, on the Apple Podcasts platform by the 15th of January, 2023. Leave an honest review. And then, or someone will be a winner. They'll be announced on the 17th of January. So you have right up until the 15th to give us, and then we just want an honest review, right? You can tell us you love us. You can tell us whatever you want to say, as long as it's honest and true to you. If you're catching the recording, you can head over to herbusiness.com/content sales 200 for all the details. If you're watching us live, the team is going to put a link here in the notes right now where you can, in the comments right now, where you can go ahead and leave your review. It can be a paragraph, it can be a page, I don't mind. But here's what happens when you leave us a review. 1, you're in the running to win the AirPods. 2, you get a shout out on the show, and we like to shout out you, your company name, say a little bit about what you do. So do tell us a little bit about yourself when you leave the review. And once again, if you are watching live, the link is in the chat, so just have a look below. I'll also put it on the screen, although let me put it on the screen. It's there. But if you are listening to the recording, head over to herbusiness.com/content sales 200. Now, that is also where we're going to put the links to all the episodes that were shouted out today, and also links to our guests' businesses so that you can learn a little more about Chandra and Belinda and Michelle and the work that they do, and some of the programs that we mentioned. Our Marketing Success Mastermind that Michelle and I run, that's our year-long marketing program, and also the Content Sales Podcast and the Reach Retreat, which was mentioned as well. So back to the competition. You could be a lucky winner. All you need to do is leave us a review. So I'm just going to share with you very, very quickly what happens. Let me do this. We've set up a page because this thing became a campaign, as we said. Let's just do the show live, we said. It'll be easy, we said. And then we end up with emails and landing pages and opt-in boxes. So you'll see a page like this. You'll see the prize right there on the screen. And you'll read about the competition and how it works. We've even given you instructions on how to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. For those of you who are podcasters, this is good to give your listeners because it's not always easy to navigate the platform. And here's what you do. There's a red button. You click on the button and it's going to ask you for your name, your last name, and the podcast reviewer name. So when you leave the review on Apple Podcasts, tell us what name you used so that we can match it to you. Because some people use nicknames or funny names, etc. And we just want to make sure that we can match you to your answer so that we can give you your prize. So we look forward to giving those away. All righty. Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Congratulations, Suzi and Michelle. Hope there's a cold champers ready to sip. Huge efforts and much appreciated. We could have bought some champers with us. All right. We love doing this show for you. We have lots of great episodes in store. So this is our second last episode for the year. We've got an amazing episode coming up before the year is up, and we've already started to pre-plan some of our episodes for 2023. So we're very excited to have you join us for those. But Michelle, why don't you let us know what's coming up in the next episode of the Content Sales Podcast?
Well, Suzi, I'd love to. It is our last show for the year, as you said, and it is something that's really become a bit of a ritual for us here at the Content Sales Podcast, and it is our annual Best Content Marketing Books episode. Not that we always strictly stick with content marketing, but that is the general gist. We share some doozies on this episode. We've got some great ones planned. Suzi and I, any excuse to talk books, but we get to do it live on the show. We've got some goodies to share. Plus, and this is something you absolutely want to get your hands on, we will be releasing our newly updated for 2023 Content Sales reading list, which is basically the list of the books that you would ever need to read to become an expert business owner, content marketer. It's all our faves from all our years of experience. It is a really juicy book list. You do want to grab that as well. And that's all happening in the next episode.
And we do categorize the books, so it's really easy to find what you're looking for. Jackie says woo-hoo. So you do want to go ahead and subscribe to the show. The link is contentsalespodcast.com. That'll take you to the Her Business site. And then, of course, you can subscribe wherever you like to listen to your podcast, whether it's Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're in all the places. So you want to find us there. A couple of comments here. Prue says, great podcast, ladies. I've got lots of inspiration to check out, many of them from the third or fourth time. You always provide meaty information for me to improve my business. And Chandra said, all our listening and reading needs are sorted. Yes, we like to do the legwork for you. Yes, I love your episode book list. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So that's coming up in the next episode. Thank you for joining us today, whether you're listening to the recording or you were here live. We appreciate you so much. Michelle, anything you want to say before we go?
Remember to leave a review. We're incentivizing you with that great prize, but even beyond that, just leaving the review helps others to find the show. So if you get value out of it, we'd so appreciate an honest review. And to all our listeners, over 200 episodes, I love your guts. And Suzi Dafnis, I love your guts. You are the bee's knees. Thank you for all the great collaboration.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Michelle for being the co-hostess with the mostess with me and always bringing her brilliance to the show. I want to thank the Her Business team for all the work they do behind the scenes to bring the show out into the world. I want to thank all our guests, but I especially want to thank you for listening. We couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't want to do it without you. We'll see you next time right here on the Content Sales Podcast. Bye for now. Love you lots.
Bye.